You've probably heard me talking about this self-sufficient living skills bundle that's been going on. And I have been spending the last week flipping through so many of the incredible resources within this bundle. Now, I will say there's a lot. There's over 118 different ebooks and courses and lessons sharing incredible wisdom and knowledge with you so you can live off the land and you don't have to rely on this corrupt and broken system for everything for your family. Anyways, I wanted to share some of my favorite things. One, first off, is off-grid homeopathy. This course is loaded with so much incredible knowledge, talking about homeopathy for first aid, for colds and flu, how to make your own homeopathic remedies. Like, as an herbalist who loves to teach that stuff, that's pretty exciting to hear it in the homeopathy realm. There's also some incredible fermentation guides, so many other amazing herbal recipes and food recipes, and how to make your own sourdough bread, how to do your own organic gardening and canning of all of your foods. Really, there is so much. And yes, I know. I've talked about it a ton, but this entire bundle is only $50 right now until Sunday, March 24th. I'm sharing my herbal first aid skills, which is a course that's $47 on its own. I'm sharing recipes that I used when I got my products into REI for herbal first aid kits and so much more. You'll have to check it out. I'm serious. Like, you can absolutely change your life with this bundle. So there is a link in the show notes for you, and I hope you check it out. I hope you take advantage. Don't worry, you don't have to go through everything right away. You can access everything for up to a year. Once you're in the course or have the download, it's yours for life. It is a steal of a deal. Okay, self-sufficient living skills bundle in the links for you.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Herbalist Path. I'm beyond honored and thrilled for today's guest, Miss Elise Higley of Oshala Farms down in outside of Grants Pass, Oregon. She also runs a lot with Our Family Farms, which I'm going to ask you more about. And she's one of the coordinators of the Brighton Bush Herbal Conference, which is a very near and dear conference to me. Yeah, this is going to be a great conversation. We're going to talk a lot about how you can incorporate herbal medicine into your daily life as well.
Welcome to the Herbalist's Path, where we're on a mission to inspire a movement where there's an herbalist in every home, again, with your host, clinical herbalist, Melissa Mutterspaugh.
So Elise, welcome to the Herbalist Path.
Thank you. Thanks. It's an honor to be here and talk with you too.
Yeah. I would love to know, like, here you are, this beautiful herb farmer and medicine maker, and you share so much wonderful product with so many people. You farm organically. You're really into getting other people into that kind of movement. And I would love to hear what really started you on your herbalist path.
Okay. Well, on my herbalist path or my herb farming path?
Let's start with the herbalist path, and then I'd love to move into the farming part.
Okay. Yeah.
You can dig as deep as you can go.
Okay, there you go. How much time do we have? My herbalist path, I think, kind of started just really by reading this random, beautiful herb book that was like a coffee table book almost. I don't even know where it is anymore in my life, but just looking at plants more and learning about their different constituents and how they can work with the human body. And it just really fascinated me. And then started reading some more things. This has got to be 35 years ago or something. So when I was in my early 20s.
Yeah.
So, and I just thought, the next time something happens to me, it doesn't happen very often, but the next time something happens to me, I'm really going to turn towards herbal medicine. And I happened to live in Sebastopol, California at that time, which was a lucky spot to be when you get strep throat, to find a natural herbalist doctor. Mm-hmm. And I went to the clinic because I thought I had strep throat, and they did a test and they said, yep, you have got strep. So you can either take these antibiotics or you can take this bag of herbs and this different tincture and do this little protocol. One may take, if you do the herbs, it might take a day or so longer, but it'll do the same. And it blew me away because I thought, wow, I thought you always had to take antibiotics for strep throat. So I swore to myself I was going to try it. And if anyone remembers how painful strep throat is or can be, and a couple days later, I was feeling great. And I was like, just blown away at like the power of herbs and plant medicine, and have used it ever since. Yeah. Never had to
so
use
cool.
any other allopathic medicine since then, luckily.
Do you remember what herbs they gave you?
A lot of it was garlic and lemon for sure, in just taking it multiple times a day with honey. And then there was this crazy, horrible, really, and I don't know, I wish I knew what was in that mix of tincture that I gargled with and took many times a day. But it was an amazing experience. Yeah. And just really like got me hooked on the power of how powerful plant medicine is. So yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
So how did you then become this great farmer?
Well, that was many years later. I don't know about great farmer, but we're definitely farming and doing the best we can. I went to many schools, as many of herb fanatics are. We go to a lot of schools, and yeah. So in my time at the California School of Herbal Studies, one of my teachers there, who was Trinity Ava, had said in one of the classes, she kept repeating in this one class we were taking, it was just like, we need more herb farmers. We need more herb farmers. Like, know your source of your herbs. And I was like, oh yeah, like thinking about where my herbs came from. And I remember reading in my notes, I wrote like, need herb farmers, maybe good idea one day, So, which was not my reality at all at that time.
Right.
And like 5 years later, I had the opportunity to move up to Southern Oregon and do a land-based project and quit my job that I was making really great money at and doing really good work. And I loved it, but it didn't involve herbalism, which I really was like a passionate hobby of mine. After my, 50 hours a week of work and being a mother of 3, I would be up at night, that was my like old herb thing, moonlight herbalism.
Yeah.
So, so I had a chance to get into growing herbs and wanted to start my own line of teas and trying to source where those herbs came from. I thought it'd be super groovy. I'll be in Southern Oregon. I'm going to have all these great herbs. And then I realized that they actually weren't from where I thought they were from. And I was really trying to source the origin and buy direct from farmers.
Mm-hmm.
And I just realized how challenging that was. So I changed my blends and my recipes so that I could only get what was growing in my region and just really getting to know the plants that grew around me.
Nice.
And I realized that, my husband, Jeff, who is a vegetable farmer by profession, I was like, dude, you got to start growing these herbs because there's a shortage and I can't get any. So we incorporated that into our farm and started Oshala Farm. And I always kind of joke that the plants kind of started it themselves. It was like, we just were along for the ride to do a lot of work, but there was a need. And once we really focused on growing herbs, other people reached out to us, other manufacturers, other distributors, and said, wow, we hear you're growing herbs, like, let's have a sample. And it just really grew from there. So that's
beautiful. Like, the plants are powerful, and I totally believe you that they were like, nope, this is what you're doing.
Yeah. One day we were like, wait, what just happened? We have an herb farm, and how did this all go down?
Yeah.
So here we are.
That's awesome. How many years has Oshala been around?
This is our 8th growing season.
Yay, that's my lucky number.
Yay.
I'm going to definitely say that incredible herb farmer. Like, when I've gotten some herbs from you, mostly in smaller quantity, and then I got to open up the box of the beautiful herbs you guys sent to me this past week, and gosh, it just felt so good. And I wanted the world to have smell-o-vision so they could see how incredibly wonderful these herbs smell, how really great quality they are. Like, there was a dramatic difference from other local farms that I like to order from as a manufacturer. There's a dramatic difference in the beauty of the plants and a dramatic difference in the scent and the overall quality. And And that is beautiful to me. So thank you very much for
you.
that work that you do. It's really, really cool. And I love how it was so many years ago that you're like, maybe herb farming, you know? Like,
Note to self.
yeah. And how that like manifests in its own incredible way, whether you plan it intentionally all the way or not. Like there was certainly definitely a seed planted in there long ago, but it's cool to see that come about. I have always dreamt of having my own mountain melts herb farm as well, so I can grow a bunch and share a bunch, and I haven't gotten there yet. Maybe one day. But I also love that. I'm not sure how long ago you were in California School of Herbal Studies.
That is a good question.
Math.
It's probably about 15 years ago. Yeah.
Cool. And then like right now with what's going on with this whole COVID-19 and for those of you that don't know, right now we're in the middle of April. It's April 16th that we're recording this 2020. And our country and the world has been completely rocked by COVID-19, and everybody's lives are thrown upside down in different ways that they can't imagine. And from an herbalist perspective and an herbal product maker, what I have noticed, and I think everybody throughout our industry, is an incredibly dramatic increase in demand for herbal products. Everybody suddenly is turning to natural medicine, which is incredibly beautiful and what many of us have worked towards for so long. But it gets scary when those that are pretty well trained and know how to create these different things and help people with plant medicine suddenly can't get access to the things they need to help people with. And I just see that strong demand for more farmers to come about and start growing herbal medicine. What do you have to say about that? What if somebody out there is listening to this podcast and they're like, ooh, I want to grow herbs. Like what would you tell them to do?
Hey, I wanted to take a quick pause to show some love and gratitude to our sponsors of the Herbalist Path podcast, who make this show possible for me and possible for you too. So here it goes. Medicinal mushrooms are all the rage these days, if you didn't know already. And with great reason, because they are powerful medicine that can improve your health and your life in so many different ways when they're well made. Yeah, it's true. There's a lot of stuff on the market that isn't going to be so effective. And that's why you need to find a brand that you can actually trust. For me, that brand is Whole Sun Wellness, and this is the creation of a brilliant woman and fellow mama, Jamie Bonfiglio. She's an international mushroom educator that has been working in the medicinal mushroom industry for years. And this is when she saw firsthand how many other companies take shortcuts when it comes to their products. And Jamie wasn't having it. She set out to build her company the right way. Whole Sun Wellness is here to raise the industry standards so those crap mushrooms on the market aren't getting into your body or your family's body. Whole Sun Wellness is the first company to test and report nutritional facts for all of their extracts. They go beyond industry standards every step of the way, from sourcing to extraction and final testing. And as the owners of the largest medicinal mushroom farm in the United States, Whole Sun Wellness is taking control of their supply chain for the highest quality and absolute full transparency. They're even the first company to include pure mycelium extract in every single product. So when you're thinking of getting medicinal mushrooms for you and your family, Whole Sun Wellness is exactly the ones you want. Also, be sure to check out their new Mycolites. These are the world's first dissolvable electrolyte tablets. They're featuring functional mushroom extracts that'll give you more energy, more stamina, and recovery as well. And who couldn't use all of that? The other thing is, they are these adorable little mushroom-shaped tablets, and they come in like a little Altoids box, but way cooler than Altoids because they're Mycolites. Anyways, head to wholesunwellness.com to grab yourself some mycolights and all of the other functional medicinal mushrooms that you and your family need. And of course, you can grab that link right here in the show notes now.
Well, I mean, we kind of started in this, our scenario is grow your own herbs if you can. Like that's always the best scenario. And then, if you can't, find a farmer
Yeah.
near you. And, if we happen to be the farmer near you, that's wonderful. Or if you can't get enough from the farmer that's near you or the quality you want from the farmer that's near you, then we're a great resource. And I do believe, there has, it's really challenging having a farm. It's really challenging having a farm and making a living and paying people more than a living wage, which is what they deserve as farm workers.
Oh yeah.
So this experience with COVID-19 and the reality of so many people turning towards herbs as a way to empower themselves has been really amazing. And I'm so excited for the plants because I feel like so many of them, it's been like hemp, hemp, hemp. And then it's like, oh, here's these other plants suddenly everyone's paying attention to, which is really great. So I'm excited about that part of it. But I also want to relay like how hard it is to make a living farming and be able to charge a price that people are willing to pay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been the biggest challenge. So, and it's a huge investment,
right?
As far as like the equipment and things that you need to have, like you notice the quality of the product. That's because we've put in like almost $1 million in drying infrastructure. You know? So it's a huge investment to get a product that you feel really proud of, unless you're doing really, really small scale, which is beautiful too. Right. So like the kind of in between we are, where we've got 50 something acres in cultivation, that takes a different infrastructure to be able to handle that quantity and still look like you grew it yourself, and I think it's important. And I think starting small is great if you can do that, or have a lot of money to invest and then go big.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, I think, along with all that you had to say, like, there are so many different variables that go into it. Like you've got the dance with nature and what she's got to say about what's going to happen to your plants. And especially like, as the risk of fire season has grown so much, like that's a bit frightening. And is the water supply going to be adequate these days or not? And how are you going to pay those workers? Can you meet the demand? Like, there's so many variables that go into it. And even if you do have that money to invest to make it happen, to get all of that drying equipment so your plants come out beautiful, and still like just very potent, and all of the harvesting equipment and all of the milling equipment, like I can only imagine how much goes into that whole game. And then to realize that, sure, you've invested millions of dollars, but you might not see that return on the money for several more years,
Yeah.
And you have to be in it, not only to win it, but fully heart and soul,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we feel like we're, community service workers, and we're providing plant medicine for people, and it's part of our community work. And yeah, we need to make a living, and we deserve to get paid well, just like everybody else out there.
Heck
and
yeah.
Crew does. And so we just kind of dance that fine balance of, doing what is right for yourself and for the farm, and also being able to provide really amazing medicine for people. So it's a balance of life. I mean, so many people have it in all the industries they're in, but definitely farming has its, additional challenges. But, wouldn't trade it either. It's amazing. It's great. So
as I was driving to my shop today and thinking about our interview, I couldn't help but like think about how beautiful it must feel to stand in the middle of your field of echinacea or your field of calendula, and just what a glorious feeling that must B, on the times that you actually get to take the time to sit there and breathe in the middle of that field.
Yeah.
That would be really nice. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about, it's Our Family Farms, right?
Yeah.
Do you mind sharing a little bit about that organization and what you do with them?
Yeah. So in 2014, I live in Jackson County, Oregon. And in 2014, we had a citizens ballot to ban genetically engineered crops in our county. And it was because, for those of you that don't know, when wind and beneficial insects are spreading genetically engineered pollen, they spread to traditional seed, and they can make it illegal for us to sell. So we also grow and sell seed for a living. And at that time we were actually selling corn seed and growing corn. So because we have that background in vegetable farming and we do eat, so we grow food.
Right.
And so I got involved with that. And it was actually, I guess it was in 2013, because it was the first year we moved on to the farmland. And at the very same time, start a farm and run a campaign. Why not? So and that was an amazing experience. And we won 66%. We banned genetically engineered crops in Jackson County, Oregon. And along with Josephine County, which is our neighboring county, also won and had glitches in that in the end. But Jackson County actually won that and then got sued by Monsanto. The county did. And we actually won that in federal court as well, because it was, they deemed genetically engineered crops are an economic harm to traditional seed farmers. So that was a huge win and an amazing experience. And from that, Our Family Farms was kind of born in protecting that law in place. And so we have been kind of sharing our story about how we banned the crops and how important it is. So now we have a GE or GMO-free, genetically engineered or genetically modified is really the engineered is the correct name. So we have that GE-free seed sanctuary. So that's kind of our work, is protecting that seed sanctuary. So
that's awesome work. That's really great. It's a beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful victory story there, which it's such an important one also. That's great. Thank you.
Hey, I wanted to take a quick pause to show some love and gratitude to our sponsors of the Herbalist Path podcast, who make this show possible for me and possible for you too. So here it goes. I love this time of year. It's spring, the sun is shining, and all of our beautiful plant friends are popping up. It's amazing. Unless, of course, you're one of the millions of people who suffer from seasonal allergies. You know, the itchy, watery eyes, the sneezing and wheezing that's straight miserable. Thankfully, there are some amazing herbs that can help you with all of that. Just like the herbs inside of Kick-Ask Allergy from Wish Garden Herbs, one of my absolute favorite herbal companies out there. Kick-Ask Allergy, yes, I said ask without the K at the end. Anyways, this formula has yerba santa, nettles, echinacea for that immune support, and orange peels, all which come together to help dry up those excessive mucosal secretions. Yep, I'm talking about the sniffles and the stuffy nose, the watery eyes, and all that jazz. This blend also acts as a great expectorant and can help ease the swelling and inflammation in those mucosal tissues. It is a top go-to for seasonal allergies. And get this, they combine all those beautiful herbs with glycerin, so it actually tastes pretty darn good. Or should I say, it tastes kick-ask, without the K at the end. Anyways, if allergy season is miserable for you and you want a natural remedy that actually works for those itchy eyes and being all sneezy and wheezy, you have got to check out Wish Garden Herbs Kick-Ask Allergy. And for those of you with the little kiddos, no sweat, they've got a Kick-It allergy too. And you pregnant mamas, You don't have to suffer either. They've got a kick-ass allergy formula just for you. So head over to wishgardenherbs.com or check out the link in the show notes and go grab yourself some kick-ass allergy so you can enjoy spring again.
Hey, how you doing? You know, we're all in the same boat of crazy these days, with tons of unexpected stress. And now we have an election coming up and kids schooling at home, and, going through global transitions is hard and it's downright stressful. Luckily, Mountain Mel's is here to help. We've got info just waiting for you on herbs that can help you melt away that stress au natural. So, to get our free guide on herbs to ease stress and anxiety, sign up at mountainmels.com/pages/herbs to ease stress. Again, that's mountainmels.com/pages/herbs-to-ease-stress. And we'll get our free guide sent out directly to you. Now, go empower your inner herbalist.
So, one thing I love about your farm, other than the great farming you do, is that on your logo, you have one of my absolute favorite plant friends.
Aw.
And I just want to hear about what made you choose plantain, everybody. She's got Plantago Major on her logo, and it's what I'll do some sharing of videos of that stuff later, but I'd love to hear from you why it's your logo.
Okay, well, we kind of decided on that because we thought it's kind of very unassuming, right? It's everywhere and it's resilient and it can be used for so much. And it just seemed like a good, appropriate logo to use for this farm and those things that we need to learn from that plant. Like, you need to be everywhere. You need to just come up out of like things that you think are not possible, like in the cracks and crevices of some random building, there's plantain,
Yeah.
And it's always your friend. Like, you can always rely on plantain, no matter what it is. It's going to help you somehow. So
yeah, I know. I'll tell so many people, like, when in doubt, plantain.
Exactly.
It's one of those things. My shop is up in the foothills of Mount Hood, and I'm on the backside of a shopping center, and there's a big parking lot, and then there's woods, and then of course all along the edge of that parking lot is tons of plantain. And so when people come visit me in the shop, I'm like, do you want to meet one of my favorite plant friends? And take them out there and share with them. And I can't even count the amount of times somebody's come to me with something and I'm like, plantain, here you go, and they're just blown away by how much it helps them. So
nice.
Do you have a favorite herb?
Gosh.
I know that's really tough.
Yeah, I mean, we grow almost 80 different herbs, and every year I say, okay, we have to grow less. This is crazy, and then I look at the list. I'm like, oh, we have to grow that one. Oh no, we can't pull this. And then, start trying to add stuff on. If there was one herb, I would say it would be like kind of my plant. It would be nettle for sure.
Yeah.
So,
Why?
Gosh, I like it for so many reasons. One, it reminds me of myself in that sometimes I can be a little prickly and a lot, agitating, but that I really am really good for you and mean well. And I feel that plant is so nourishing. I love that it, and it grows everywhere I am. It ends up growing,
Yeah.
And it's just, I love that it has so many ways to be able to be used, as far as like, in your food and a tincture and tea and whatever. Like, my kids always joke, is there nettle in here, Mom? Like, now they're all grown, but it's like nettle enchiladas, nettle soup, nettle this, nettle that. Like, oh my gosh.
That's too funny. That's hilarious. So I love nettles too. With all the like nettle soup and the nettle enchiladas and such, do you have a favorite, or not even a favorite, but would you be willing to share a recipe with our listeners that you think would be awesome for them to just try out experimenting nettles?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many. One is if you've never had a fresh nettle infusion, that is an amazing, fun experience, which is basically just fresh nettle, not dried, picked. And remember that it's stinging, so you want to wear some kind of hand covering unless you want to have welts on your hands, and remember it for a while. And then just put hot water over it and watch the miraculous color change. And it's like this amazing blue-green. It's just a totally different drink than you would have from dried nettle, which is also amazing. And I drink that a lot as well. So that's a fun one. And then I also love just doing, which we sell on our website as well, is just fresh nettle infusion. And I just take batches of fresh nettle during this time of year and put it in raw apple cider vinegar and let it macerate for a month or two, and then press it out, and you get all the great constituents of fresh nettle, which is like all those antihistamines and great things for allergy season right now. And you have it in your nettle all year long. So that's another easy, super fun one.
That's perfect.
And use it for cooking, salad dressings, marinades, whatever.
Yeah, heck yeah. I love that. Thank you. Since we're talking nettles and just talk plantain, I want to share a story that just happened like 3 days ago with my daughter and I. We were out walking along the river we live along, and then there's a cool little like woodsy loop circle we take when we're out walking our dogs. And I have just, it's a new loop for me. And I've discovered that there's nettles growing there. And I was teaching my daughter, like, here's this plant, be cautious when we're playing out here. Like, it could sting you. And sharing that kind of stuff with her. And a couple days later, we go there and we're exploring around the area, and suddenly she starts crying to me and she gets stung. And I was like, oh, that's what I was telling you about, and I said, well, what should we do if you have an ouchie right now? What should we look for? And she's like, plantain, and crying. And I look around and I hadn't seen any plantain yet this year where I'm at. And I look around and sure enough, there's a little plantain plant, tiny, tiny, tiny little guy, and just grabbed the leaf and chewed it up a little bit and had her put it on the nettle sting. And within like 2 minutes, she was up and playing again and happy as can be, which was a fun little story. I wish I could have gotten it on video, but I didn't. Just the power of the plant medicine and how that plantain is everywhere and how that the nettles, they're everywhere.
Just trying to get your attention.
Yep. Hey, look at me. I'm good for you. Yeah, exactly. I can help you in one way or another, for sure.
Yeah.
I love nature like that. Hey, you were talking about a book that got you interested in herbalism 35 years ago or whatever it may have been. Do you have any favorite books or books that you would recommend for somebody just getting into herbalism these days that would be really helpful?
I mean, of course, all of Rosemary Gladstar's books are amazing for, any level herbalist, but she just makes it so easy and understandable. I really, another one is James Green's Medicine Maker, right? Is that what it is?
Yep.
I think really got me into making medicine and making it just so like, okay, kind of like your story. You can walk down the road, find some nettle or find dandelion, I think he used as an example, stick it in a jar, pour some alcohol. Great, you made some tincture. You can do this, And I love that about James. And so that would be one book if people are wanting to make medicine. I think that's an amazing book on getting to start medicine making.
Yeah, that's a really, really great one. I've definitely referred to it many times over the years, and he's really funny too. So for me, it helps to learn from the funny people instead of the like, wah, 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 here's how we do it. This is the only way, and do not have fun with it. I'm a firm believer in the value of fun. I'd love to hear about some of your earlier days and the teachers that you had, and who were some of the most influential ones. I think you mentioned Trinity Ava earlier. I'd love to hear a little bit about a couple of those people and what made them so influential for you.
Probably the most I definitely my time at California School of Herbal Studies. There were an array of teachers there that were all super amazing. You know, I had Autumn Summers and David Hoffman and Terry Jensen and Karen Aguiar were probably the most influential on me, maybe because they taught more, but also just because of the way they taught. Lily Mazzarella is amazing, who owns Pharmacopoeia in Sonoma County. Yeah, all those teachers there. I think for Terry and Karen, I just remember one of Terry's funny sayings. She does the same thing I think that I like about James Green. I'm much more of a folk herbalist, and like that's why I don't have like tincture products on my site or things, because I don't like that's like the part of me, like I like folk medicine. If you have to like put me in a box, I'm like, oh gosh, you know. So that's why it's easier to grow and then you can make your own. I really loved, Terry would say, like, don't get mooned out about it, you know, like just do it, you know. I love that about her, and just saying like, however it works for you, or like, what herbs do you think, like use, you know, what's your gut instinct? And that really fit to me, where other people are different, you know. And Lily Mazzarella was just amazing, because she's just like this amazing knowledge that she has about body systems and the way everything works, and then could put it into a way that I could understand it. And I was like, whoa, I really get that. That's amazing.
That's really important, because learning all of the scientific aspects of this and how these plants work with the body, for me, it can be pretty challenging. And when you find that great teacher that can take it and bring it down to kind of layman's terms, it's of such great value for me.
Exactly.
Cool. I like the like, just do what works for you and play with it and experiment. And if it doesn't work for you, change it or don't do it. There's a lot of value in that. And I remember like when I first started getting into making products, it was super, super folky. And then I had to like, people were taking it more seriously, and there was more demand, and it wanted to get into the stores, and I had to follow more FDA protocol and learn all of that pretty much on my own, and also learning how to convert my little folky recipes over to something that's going to create more consistency in my product. And at the same time, I was learning how to use Excel, and it was really, really hard and not a lot of fun. But I'm grateful today that I've been through that part. And still, even though I have these formulas for my products that I make, everything I do within my family or for myself is so very folky. Like cooking, I feel like that's the whole creative process of it all.
Exactly. Yeah. I wanted to just say too that Carrie and Taryn have run the Northern California Women's Herbal Symposium for so many years, and that's going to that for, I think this is my 20-something year of going there.
Nice.
Has been so much learning and teaching going on at those at that conference. It's been pretty amazing. So yeah.
Is that in like October or something?
It's normally 3 times a year, but this year it is not. Normally it's in May, Labor Day, the weekend after, or Memorial Day, and the weekend after, and then Labor Day. So I think everything will be in September this year, hopefully.
Nice. Yeah. That's what I haven't hit yet, but I would love to.
We'll go together.
Yeah, that would be so much fun.
Come down to Southern Oregon and then we'll carpool.
I love it. Road trip. I'm so long overdue for one of those, even prior to this whole COVID thing.
Yeah.
Definitely in need of one of those. I love that you shared the nettles recipe for beginners with the ACV and with just like that fresh nettle infusion. I was teaching my daughter and my partner how to like harvest nettles without any gloves, and how you can like chew a nettle leaf fresh and not get stung, and like the overwhelming amazing taste of the nettles and the freshness is just it's so beautiful. I'm in love with it.
And if people don't have access, at least in the Pacific region here, Organically Grown Company distributes. They pick up. We just sent 80 bags of fresh nettle to them. So it's all through Oregon and Washington, and yeah.
Heck yeah. I know Elizabeth Nardi at Organically Grown Company. They're such a great
Nice.
well, I don't know her personally, but I know of her via all the networks and so on and so forth. And maybe I've met her a time or two and don't remember all the way. Anyways, what they're doing for our food system is really beautiful. I love the work that they do.
Yeah.
And I love that they're carrying nettles from you
guys. I know, it's fun to bring nettle into it, so it's in the produce department in the fresh area.
So cool. So I would imagine it's sitting in New Seasons, and it's in a few other great stores like that. That's super awesome. Yeah. I love that. Let's see. So I find that this next question can be an interesting one, and the answers I get from people are varied. And in your opinion, what makes somebody an herbalist?
Oh, I know. That's such a hard one, right? I don't even know that I know that it's interesting because I hold that word with so much responsibility that I don't even know, like I would call myself an herbalist. But I mean, really, like an herbalist is somebody who uses plants as a way to, is part of their life, and plant medicine. So I feel like anybody, go back to the question again.
So in your opinion, what makes somebody an herbalist?
Yeah. Oh, gosh.
The question can go so many different directions.
I know. I mean, in really, easy terms, it's like somebody who uses plants as medicine. To me, that's the easiest way to say that they're a practicing herbalist. Herbalist is maybe like has a lot more responsibility to it. Yeah. So
I think that's a good concise way to say it. Like, yeah, you're using plants as medicine. Sweet, you're an herbalist. But you're so right. There becomes such a greater amount of responsibility when you're starting to try and work with people and the plants, people outside of yourself and your family, and helping people in that way. And for me, like farmers, you're a farmer of herbs, you're an herbalist. There's so many different categories of it. And like you said, like, can you even call yourself an herbalist now? Like, I'm also of the like, okay, sure, I've been studying this for over a decade, but I'm far from an expert herbalist, and I've got at least another 60 or 70 years to go before I am an expert of any kind. So there's that piece too. But then to also realize that the knowledge we've obtained over these years through all the schooling we've done, or the actual like experience of working with these plants, is really, really incredibly valuable knowledge, and it needs to be shared with more people, in my opinion, which is part of why this podcast exists. Because I really do believe that there needs to be an herbalist in every home again. So
yeah, I agree with you. And I think that it's just remembering that so different than allopathic medicine is that, every herb reacts differently with everybody, and we're not all the same. And so that's just, if we can keep remembering that, like just because nettle's an amazing plant for me at this moment, at this time, talk to me in 5 years from now, I may say that, oh my gosh, no, it got way too drying for me and I stopped, or, now I'm not doing that right now. And so we just have to remember, and that's the challenge and the fun of working with herbs, is that it's an organic thing. It's always changing.
Yeah. I think that's such a really important piece to bring up, because there's not a lot of herbalists in my community, but I certainly have a lot of people come to me like, Mel, what do you have for this? And I'm like, well, I don't have your instant fix pill, And at this point in my life, I have a referral to you to somebody that is actually practicing this kind of medicine, because right now I don't have the time and space capacity to do that. So where I might know a few tricks or two up my sleeve, I can't guarantee it's going to work for you. And I'm not going to put myself in the position of being liable for what happens with you and that plant. I can give you some recommendations, some thoughts.
Yeah.
But if you really want to get into it, you're going to need a lot more than calling me up and saying, hey, what do you have for this?
Yeah.
Super important piece, I think. Would you do anything differently if you could start your herbalist path over?
Gosh, I don't know. I mean, I think it just is the way it is. I don't know that I would do anything differently. I mean, I don't think I physically could have gone to any more conferences.
But I love them.
Yeah, do differently. I'm still bummed that I missed Rootstock, but that's okay. That's one thing I would have done differently. No, I think it's just it's beautiful the way it is. There's maybe having more trust in myself early on.
Mm-hmm.
Like I kind of questioned my relationship with plants, and like you said, I think part of it is just a responsibility. So I think I was being safe.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just always that question of, well, should I tell that person what I think about that if they're asking me or not?
Yeah.
I've always held back from that clinical work, which maybe I could have done, but
right.
Yeah.
I've always thought, like, as I, continue on with Mountain Mel's, and I still dream of my own herb farm one day, and like maybe when I'm in my 60s, I'll start practicing as a clinician, I'll slow down with everything a little bit and be able to take that really important detailed time to work with people and plants and help them in that way. But we'll see. Because you can't really choose what happens as you go down that path, and the path is done as it's supposed to be done. Like many things in life, I guess.
Yeah.
Wow, what a great chunk of knowledge we just heard. I love learning new things, especially better ways to take care of myself and my family. But if you're like me, I love the knowledge, but I'm often too busy to put it into practice, making my own salves and teas and such. Thank goodness, the lovely folks over at Mountain Mel's are already doing it for me. Their herbal teas support my mind, body, and soul, and they taste great too. And their line of outdoor essential products supports my family's outdoor fun and quickens our recovery afterwards when we overdo it. So hop on over to mountainmel's.com and use the code THP15 at checkout to receive a 15% discount, especially for listeners of the Herbalist's Path. That's THP15 for 15% off your order of delicious goodness today.
Do you have any other crucial or important advice or wisdom you would like to share with somebody that's just starting to travel down their herbalist path?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of my main focuses is just asking people to pay attention to the origin of where their herbs are coming from. And I'm always like, who's your farmer? Who's your grower? Just being aware of that, even if it starts by just, reading the label. It should be on the label, the origin of where your herbs were grown. If not, if you're ordering on a website, you should have that, and you could ask for it. That is, and just knowing how those people are being treated down the line, and just don't buy into the marketing of things. Look deep, because if you're really getting healing and medicine from the plants, you want to make sure they had a good positive path on the way to you.
Amen. Yeah, I think that's a really, really important piece, and part of why I'm so excited to work with you and your farm more. I've always tried really hard to know where my plants are coming from, and you do have to dig deep. You really do. I think that's a really, really good piece of advice. And also taking the time to get to know those plants pretty well, I think, is another important piece there. Do you have any reason that you think that there should be an herbalist in every home again?
Oh, I think it's a necessity. Yeah. I think that is our, I think there's not anything more important, and especially, you first start learning about herbs and how we have so much power to be able to work with our bodies, and just even from a simple cold or flu or whatever it is, it comes apart, you twist your ankle, whatever, to know what to do with that, and to know how plants work with you and your body and your loved ones is the most empowering, beautiful experience one could have. So I fully support that, and look forward to that day. And I think it's coming. I think it's happening.
I think it's happening too. And I love what you had to say about that right now, how it's very empowering. Like as this whole COVID-19 thing started coming about and people are, everybody's rightfully freaking out, I felt so calm. Like I was like, well, I know what to do under these situations. Like, obviously, I don't know everything about COVID-19, as nobody else does either, but I know what I can do for preventative measures. And, there are all the conspiracy theories going on of what's going to happen, especially right in the beginning. And I just felt like, wow, even outside my personal training as an herbalist, I was also a wilderness therapist and a backpacking guide. So I learned a lot of good living off the land skills back in those days. And it felt very empowering. And I think in times like this, it's a very good reminder to people to turn back to nature and back to our roots.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that beforehand, but it's really, really loud right now. For sure.
I hear you.
Well, I'm really excited to know that I am hopefully going to get to see you in September, if not sooner, for the Brighton Bush Herbal Conference. Do you want to share a little bit about that amazing conference?
Yeah, so the Brighton Bush Herbal Conference happens annually. It's always the weekend after Labor Day, and it's at the Brighton Bush Hot Springs in Detroit, Oregon. And it is probably the most amazing place to have an herb conference, because you get these beautiful natural hot springs outdoors on the river and amongst beautiful trees. And then you've got all these great herbalists there too. So if you can get yourself out of the hot tubs and to classes, you can really learn a lot. And if not, there's some really great conversations that happen in the hot tub. So no matter what, you can glean some great information. But yeah, we're really hoping to have it this year, kind of hanging on to the end to see what ends up happening. But yeah, I feel like it's the oldest standing herb conference in the US. Started with Rosemary and the Garlic Girls, Cascade Anderson Geller, who I cannot not mention I've only taken a few classes with her, but became really good friends with her over the years. And her passing has been kind of one of my reasons. She helped start that conference. And so it always reminds me of her every time of being there, and makes me smile, and a little teary-eyed too, but makes me smile to know that like all this work and things that she's done is still standing and happening. So
yeah, that's beautiful. That conference has meant an immense amount to me and my herbalist path. Like I had started dabbling in books and playing with things and doing other people's recipes. And on a whim, I decided to go to Brighton Bush, and Cascade and Rosemary were there. And it was a really, really wonderful experience. And I went there by myself. I didn't really know anything about herbalism or the whole community, and I think I signed up, typical of me, like a couple weeks before the event, and I show up and I just had the most incredibly inspiring time. And I left that conference going, well, this is it. This is what I need to be doing. These are my kind of people. And dove in head first in all the real schools I could get my hands on, and all the conferences that I could get to, and all of that fun stuff. But Cascade has also had an incredibly powerful impact on me. And I've shared this a few times with a few people, but I went on an herb walk with her that particular conference, and it was really lovely and great, and that was it. And fast forward a few years later, I was in herb school. It was a clinical program, and each month we'd have one of the greatest herbalists come in and teach about a subject that they're really, really knowledgeable about, and that was our intensive for the month. And Cascade was supposed to come the next month, and I was pregnant with my daughter. And I was so excited to connect with Cascade again, because I really loved the walk with her. And then she died on Herb Day, May 4th, 2013. And for the next 2 weeks, I kept getting very, 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 very vivid and clear dreams of Cascade coming to me and saying, you have what it takes. You have the voice. You have the power to shout it from the mountaintops and the treetops about the importance of using plants as medicine. You need to do it for the people. You need to do it for the plants. You need to do it for the planet. And she would look at me so directly and so strong and so unbelievably clear. And still to this day, I get goosebumps every time I think about that. And it was so powerful for me. And prior to that, I never believed that people came to you in your dreams. I was like, whatever, hippie freak, you're so full, like that doesn't happen. And a couple weeks later, I was going to try and get a Mayan abdominal massage. And I went to one of my teachers first, Catherine Close, and she was like, I'm busy. Can you go over to Hood River and go to this other person? And I'm like, sure, I'll do that. And I love a beautiful road trip across Mount Hood. It's really gorgeous. It's one of the more beautiful drives I've ever taken. And I get to this place, and the woman about to do the Mayan abdominal massage is now Keith Silva. When I first met her, she went by Katie, and we were trying to figure out why we knew each other. And we were on herb walks together at that Brighton Bush conference years before. And then I shared with her what Cascade had said to me in my dreams. And she had actually been down studying with the Mayans for, I believe, 7 years. And the Mayans believe that the spirit lives on for 9 days after death to share their messages with the people that need to hear them. And ever since then, as I've gone on this journey, learning a lot of lessons the hard way on how to run an herbal business, and some days I'm really down about it, some days I'm really up about it. But on those days that I'm down, I go back into the woods and I try and connect again with those messages that Cascade had for me. And throughout a lot of it, I'm like, she's right. I got a really loud, influential voice. And it's really important that I really tap into that gift and use it for the better of people and the planet and the plants. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it. But yeah, she's had a really powerful impact. And it's just amazing to me that I only had that one little plant walk with her. And I was just someone on a plant walk, I didn't really interact all that much other than listening to her. And yet she took the time to come say some powerful words to me.
That's beautiful. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. It brings me to tears and brings me to chills every time. So cool. Well, I'd love to know if there are other really important things you'd like to share with our listeners on this podcast.
Gosh, I feel like we've covered things.
We really have covered a lot. Thank you so much for sharing all of your information and your wisdom. I'm really, really grateful for that. When I think of you, I think of this beautiful, wise goddess, and it's a really lovely picture in my mind.
Well, likewise, and I'm so excited to. I don't think I remembered that we had that Cascade connection, so thank you for that.
Yeah, that's part of like when I was emailing you about the conference, and I'm like, this conference really means a lot to me. And there have been several serendipitous things that have brought me to that conference for many years after. And I've felt so blessed and fortunate. So I'm excited to take a little bigger part of it in one way, shape, or form. So
that's great.
Yeah. Well, where can people find you if they want to use your wonderful herbs, which I'm like, hey, wait, I want them. But I also want to make sure that you guys thrive. What's that?
With the big shortage of herbs, we won't tell the website.
Sorry, you can never find her. She doesn't even farm. No. For real though, where can people find you?
Well, people can go to our website. It's oshalafarm.com. And we got all our bulk herbs. We grow almost 80 different herbs, and we only sell what we grow. And then we have value-added products that we make from those herbs.
Yeah, you've got some great value-added products, might I add. Yeah, totally. Are you on any social media platforms that people could
Oh
connect
yeah,
with you at?
Instagram, Oshala Farm Instagram. We have a Facebook page, and we try and get on social media, but sometimes we just get busy farming. So
And
we're trying. We're trying.
it is hard.
Yeah.
I totally get that. And I like this past month, I've been horrible at social media, but like, is it that bad if you're already making that connection and you're having a hard time keeping up? Is
Right.
there really all that much of a point in spending all that time and energy on your social media posts?
Yes.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
nice to connect with people. It really is, but is that really connecting?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's a hard one. Yeah. And we actually have monthly newsletters that come out that I feel is a nice time for us to connect with people, tells what's going on the farm and what we're harvesting and what we're doing. And it also is a great chance that we always have 20% off an herb and 20% off of a product of the month. So that's kind of a fun time for people to cash in on those bonuses.
Cool. Yeah. So people should definitely sign up for the newsletter. That's nice and easy.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Elise. I've really enjoyed hearing your story and more about how you've gone down your herbalist path. And it's really nice to have you share some really valuable insight with people. Thank you.
Thanks
Yeah.
so much.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Have a beautiful day.
This has been The Herbalist's Path, where we're on a mission to inspire an herbalist in every home. Again, thanks so much for joining us. If you'd like to support our mission, please subscribe, rate, and review to help others find us. Together, we can make herbalism #spread like wildflowers. Wishing you all a lovely day. Bye for now.
It has been so much fun and so, I don't know, joyous watching all of my medicinal plant friends popping up in my garden, from the Ella Campaign to the Comfrey and the Arnica. I love seeing these friends pop up. And if you are still trying to decide what to grow in your medicinal herb garden, you've got to grab my guide. It's all about the most essential herbs that every mom should know and should grow. So I teach you how to grow them and the many different ways that you can use them. If you want to grab the guide, go ahead. It's free, and I'm pretty sure you're going to get a lot of delight and use out of it. And there's a link to it in the show notes. I'm wishing you tons of happy medicine planting.